Hello, everyone. This is Patrick Russell, class of '89, former Blue Jay, and we're giving a shot at trying this for all of our fans and alumni out there. We're calling this the We Want More podcast.
Never shown any adverse effects. Harrison with it. Big shot. Scores! Kyle Harrison goes high. It's over. Johns Hopkins has won its ninth national championship.
I have with me Coach Peter Millerman, who's in his fourth season coaching the Blue Jays. Pete, wonderful to have you, and thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for being a part of this with us, Pat, and getting us started. Excited about this as a kind of a new format to communicate with our alums and our fan base.
Sure. Well, we're going to give this a shot, and we think it's just a great way to reach out and connect with our fans, our alums, anybody who tunes in. So, Pete, you're in your fourth season at Hopkins. Just tell us briefly, how does it feel? Does it feel fast? Does it feel like you've been there a long time? What's it like getting ready to start in your fourth year at Hopkins?
That's a good question. It's to say I'm in my fourth season here. Yeah, that part feels fast, but at the time when we started here and with everything that was going on around the world, like it was definitely, the world felt like it was moving slow. So that was an interesting time period for sure. But yeah, to be into the fourth season, starting to have some things pieces fitting together here the way we're building and guys understanding what we're doing. It's been an exciting journey so far, and I think we're really just starting to hit our stride.
Yeah. And, for many of us who played years ago, of course, we've learned and have found out that lacrosse season comes at you very fast and furious now, with games starting in February. And you have the Pioneers of Denver coming on Saturday to Homewood Field. So tell us, how do you feel about the team? Strengths, weaknesses, concerns. How have things gone over the last 3 or 4 weeks with the start of the season?
Good, yeah. Feeling great about the group that we're coaching right now. I think we have a great group from a leadership perspective, from experience. There's some great young players that are working their way into the mix and competing and pushing, returners in every way. I think there probably are a few strengths we could mention. I would probably say the most significant would be, the leadership of the returners, the seniors, captains. I mean, this is a senior class that has a lot of guys who have played minutes in every game. We got a handful of grad students, a few transfers who have played a ton of minutes. And so from that perspective, there's some veteran leadership, whether they, have all played every minute on Homewood or not, or really just been here, committing their time and their services. But I think that's really where you get the energy and the reinforcement of the way we do things here. And there's just a lot of guys that are committed to this process and just loving being a part of this program and represent the black and blue the right way. And I think that's probably the biggest piece right now to defining where we are.
Right. Fantastic. And, it's funny, as you read some of the publications, the midfield looks very strong. Is there a possibility that you run 3 units, that, 9 guys actually get a shot at midfield starting off the season?
To define the depth at this point is tough. I mean, we're probably going to play a lot of guys early on in the season because it's early and we have a lot of games to start us out. I think we're going to need to make sure that we have utilizing our resources there. I mean, when it gets down to crunch time, you're going to want to put the best players on the field as much as you possibly can. So I think there's a reality that'll set into all of those things. But right now, having, as I mentioned a minute ago, a lot of guys with experience and a lot of guys that have shown up on game day and done some great things. So I think there's opportunities there. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of competition at those spots. I think our midfield has some really great players and some great depth, but I don't think we're going to be our best without the competition from everybody, whether they're making the lineup or not, or they're the freshmen that are still just trying to find their way. They got to show up every day and compete. And if there's guys that don't make that last shift in the game, or don't make the the starting three out of the box or whatever, I don't think that should really define where they are right now, because especially the way Coach Crawley plays an offensive system, guys move around a lot, and
Right.
and they shift. Sometimes they move up midfield lines, sometimes they move from attack to midfield and back and forth. And so it just keeps everybody in the mix, and keeps everybody alive to make sure that we're putting the best shift out there.
Right. And then, the specialty positions, I know in other conversations I've had with you, we're really excited about Chase Ireland in goal, coming over from Cornell, your face-off guys. So talk a little bit about the goalie play, and then also, your face-offs, because that, obviously has been so critical to the game in the last couple of years. And I know there's been a couple of rule tweaks, I think, to the face-off. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, face-offs seem to have a couple tweaks every single rule cycle. So try not to get too up in arms about what those are. I mean, most of them are some simple adjustments. We need to make sure guys understand rule structure and mechanics for how it's adjudicated. But for the most part, we got guys out there that can compete for a loose ball. We're playing that as a 3-on-3 to start, to a 10-on-10. We don't want it to be a 1-on-1 battle. Those face-off guys can get kind of stuck in that spotlight sometimes, of it just being a matter of whether you beat the other guy. If we're coming away with the possession, we're defining face-off wins with an efficiency, possession efficiency rating. So as long as we get that ball to our offense, or get an offensive opportunity out of it, it's a good face-off win. If we win that ball and turn it right over, or we win the clamp but we don't pick it up, it's really about how our group is doing as a whole, and are we turning that into a quality possession for our offense. So we're trying to look at that stat a little bit differently, I think, than some people do. And it's just always, even if you're losing it, can you get it back through the ride and through the defense and stuff like that? So, if we can, win that possession battle to start each whistle, I think that's a big one for us. So we got some guys there that are doing a good job. Logan and Tyler Dunn have both played in pretty much every game since they've been here. Both are career guys, around 50%. I think they complement each other well. I think we have the ability to utilize both strategically on a consistent basis, and we'll see how that goes. But they're good. They're great, beating each other up every day, and the other guys in that group as well. And so just making sure we have a depth of strategy, I think, is important. Chase in the net, there's a good likelihood we'll see him and to start the game. But he's been great since he got here. He's a competitor, outstanding teammate, vocal in the cage, spends time to learn the defense as soon as he got here, dives right in, making connections with the personnel on that end of the field, and being a great leader with that goalie group as well. I think those guys are really, soaking up everything they can get from him. He's a multi-year starter and a captain, and just got a wealth of experience. Has a goal of being a teacher and a coach after college, and so I think it all really plays into the type of young man that we have in the locker room.
Good. So I have a question for you. Again, as an alum playing in the late 80s, there's so many Hall of Famers, so many All-Americans from Hopkins, such a rich tradition. I think of myself as playing in an era where we had many great players, but we were known for defense in that sort of era of play, and great defenders and great goalies. So tell me, Coach Kester is running the defense. Is there a style that you would describe the current team's defense? I saw a little bit more sort of like pressing, like we play out and we're aggressive. How would you describe the defense this year?
Maybe confrontational, in sort of the theme that you just mentioned. I think, Coach likes to teach defense with more of an offensive mindset. He likes to attack weaknesses. He likes to find opportunities to really challenge and stress an offense. I don't think it's easy to do. I think you have to really be buttoned up and have details in order when it comes to how you're supporting each other, and whose role is going to support whose, and how you're going to do that. It can be difficult that if you're not winning some of those matchups, and you're not winning those perimeter on ball situations, that it can start to stress you a little bit more than you'd like. But I think he starts with the attitude. He starts with you know, the mentality and the focus of what they're trying to do, and how do we get out there and get after guys, and you know, how do we make them you know, really want to beat us more than they want to run away from us.
Right.
And I think that's a great place to start. I think you're lucky if you got a coach that understands how to employ that type of a mentality and that type of a tactic, and teach it to the guys. And so they work diligently. They were, you know, they're there, you know, constantly getting extra work in, watching film. You know, he's a phenomenal teacher. He breaks the game down very simply, but he's also able to stack those things up and build a scouting report that's got, you know, a depth to it, that there's a lot of particulars to it. They understand different situations pretty well. And, you know, the guys that have been doing it for a few years are in a position now to be coaching the younger guys with it as well. So, you know,
Yeah.
even just having some of those older guys doing film sessions and running separate, you know, individual groups and stuff like that. I mean, that's a big piece of the defense, you know, understanding what the material they're working
Right.
on.
Right. So a few more questions for you. You host Denver on Saturday at Homewood Field. New turf, by the way. Saw beautiful new
Mhm.
turf with our Blue Jay logo there at midfield. You know, tell us a little bit about your schedule, your mentality behind the schedule, how you want it figured. I know we
Sure.
often, as fans, talk about, oh, you know, we dropped this opponent, but we picked up this, or we have a tradition of always playing this opponent. You know, what's your mindset into the schedule this year?
Sure, and probably all those things you guys talk about have relevance somewhere. You know, they're all part of the mix at some degree. I think it all starts with probably the first responsibility is Johns Hopkins. You get, you know, a chance to compete for a national championship. Your responsibility is to compete for a national championship. You got to play the best to prepare. You got to work on building a schedule that's going to get your guys an understanding of what they need to do to be great, what they need to do to compete and win against the best teams in the country, and get yourself into a tournament position to win a championship. And so we want to play the best teams we can. We want to you know, build it so that we're going to be successful throughout. I always think of, you know, the schedule is kind of an evolution as you go through it. Even year to year, there's things we've done in the past that we may not be doing this year. We may do again in the future. It all kind of is reliant on, you know, what you think your team needs, and what you think they're capable of doing. I think right now this is a team that can compete with anybody. I think, you know, we're always going into every season with that mentality, but this schedule, I think we playing a couple less games, trying to keep a little bit more consistency to the flow of week to week, prioritizing our guys' health, and making sure that they're, you know, ready to go for each game, utilizing our depth when we can. But I'd be hard pressed to find a team or a schedule that's got more challenge to it right now. But you know, I think that's what gets the guys most excited. You know, they get a chance
Yeah.
to come to Johns Hopkins and play the best teams in the country, and
Yep.
you know, I think that's where you know, guys really get fired up about it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it gets a lot of accolades from fans and alumni because everyone always looks at the Hopkins schedule and says it's killer. And when they say killer, it's a compliment, right? Because it's just, you know, it's all the great teams. We used to have a saying in the locker room that, you know, other teams sometimes, you know, have their schedule up and they underline a Hopkins game. And I'm sure Denver does. We've noticed lately in the press, Coach Brown is taking over for, you know, Coach Tierney. Denver's been labeled as a lacrosse school. I would like to say that, you know, we're going to have a matchup on Saturday of a traditional lacrosse school, maybe against a new lacrosse school.
Mm.
And we'll see how that plays out. So in the interest of time, just a couple of fun questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Freshman,
Hmm.
give us a freshman without, you know, without getting him on an ego trip that has surprised you, who has pleasantly surprised you in the last 3 weeks where you're like, wow, I think this kid's going to be special.
Uh, I don't want to jump to saying something like that. I think there's some great kids. I will give you somebody that I have been pleasantly surprised with since the early fall. He's continuing to work hard and continuing to develop. I think he's got a future of being a really great Blue Jay. I don't know if that means he's going to be a superstar or not, but I think Eric Chick has been really good. I think he's been
Ah,
really good since we got here. I
and
don't.
And the son of an alum.
The son of an alum, and that wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't for a fact. I think the
Yeah.
guys have as a coaching staff, we've been really pleased with how he competes and how he works. I've seen him a ton in high school, and I thought he was a really good player, and he's showing a good sense of the game and understanding of what we're doing here. Obviously, he's got some background, so he's been he's been around the program a lot, but without trying to anoint anybody as anything, I think he's done a great job. I'm really excited that he's here, and I think he's got us all excited that whether he jumps on the field anytime uh, right away or not, I think he's going to be a great addition to this program.
Excellent. Excellent. St. Mary's product, I believe, right from Annapolis.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Good. All right. So, Coach, you've been here 4 years. Just there are a lot of traditions. Some of them a little quirky. Some of them a little weird. Give me one tradition that you've really embraced and you love at Hopkins.
There's a ton. There's a ton. I'll rattle off a couple just because I'll be honest with you, it's a bit overwhelming at first because there's so many. First of all, homecoming being in the spring is a big deal. I think the band is always fun. The bananas is a wild one because it's different and you gotta understand it, and spending time and just getting to know Nag, and he is a tradition all to himself. Getting to spend time. He just dropped off the cartoons the other day. We just made the posters for game day, and so things like that are really neat. I think probably my favorite so far has been the smoker. I've only done it once. It seemed like one of those things, especially with all the restrictions when I got the job. Like everybody was asking, like, when are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Are you going to cancel it? Are you going to keep it? Are you going to whatever? And all I kept saying is I don't know what it is. Like I heard it's great. I want to do it. And then last year having my first experience with it, like you really get a different degree of how special the commitment is to this place and this program, and how much guys just love this group, and they just love being a part of this family, and it was really exciting to do that for the first time and get to see it and feel it, and see alums from decades past handing their jerseys back, and having multi-year All-Americans giving their jersey to a freshman, and it's just neat to see those connections play out.
Outstanding. So two more for you. I'm just curious as a fan, there's a nice, when I played, we had a really strong pipeline from Farmingdale in Long Island and Yorktown up in the Hudson Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We have a good pipeline of Lawrenceville boys. Any insight into that? Because it's fascinating to us fans.
It's a very good program, and they produce some great young men, and there's some consistency in maybe the way some of those guys play and what we're looking for, and they also tend to be a pretty close-knit group. So, not that it's all that surprising. A couple of the guys are friends with each other and want to play together. And, one of the Lawrenceville kids has got an older brother on our team and things like that. So they kind of tend to start making connections. And I'm not one to fight those ones if they're too obvious. And those are just great young men that we're getting, and I think they are well coached, and so we're pretty excited to keep that a part of the tradition if we can.
Excellent. So, look, in conclusion, speaking to you as an alum, I think you've probably had a number of alums who've come back or will come back. You wanted to just touch upon that? I know you've had. Great All-American Hall of Famer A.J. Hogan come back, John Gagliardi, who's one of our great defensemen. Do you enjoy and encourage that opportunity for alums to kind of come back and talk to the team?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I've been trying to keep it as regular a part again since the first year or so. We were kind of separated out, but we've had Del Dressel came by last year, and Federico and Mark Greenberg, and just a few weeks ago, Paul Rabel came by, and just having the opportunity of for our guys to get to know their past and get to know the tradition, the long blue line of success that's been here. I mean, this is the greatest legacy in the history of our sport, and for our guys to know that tradition and feel a personal connection to it, I think is vital to their success. To not feel overwhelmed and intimidated by a tradition of success, but feel energized and invigorated by it because they feel a belonging to it. And I think sometimes that just comes from humanizing the trophies and the accolades on the walls,
Right,
and getting
right,
guys, getting a chance to just have a conversation with Del Dressel's one of the very few 4-time first team All-Americans in our sport.
right.
When they get a chance to meet Kyle Harrison when they've only ever seen him on TV or, as this bigger than life figure. And he's just a guy that, loves the game and loves his program. I think it's a great opportunity for these guys to enrich their experience. And, we're trying to keep as much of that connection alive as we can on a regular basis. And sometimes it's challenging because of what we're trying to do as a team. We're trying to focus
Right.
on us, but I think there's a time and place for it. And when we've had the opportunity, it's been great. And I love just the fact that alums want to come. Coach Mike Pellegrino, defensive backs,
Yeah,
coach in the NFL, like that was great just to have him come back and talk to the guys. And there's been a lot of those. I think
that's
it's
great.
really cool.
Yeah, and there's just so many great alums who've gone on to do great things. And I've said this to you before, not just in the lacrosse world, but they kind of go on to do great things in their careers and interesting types of things. And it's always good to have them come back. Well, Coach, I thank you. As an alum, I have a tradition that I'm glad is back. Thanks to Coach Kester and Coach Kelly, is Friday Skyball. I mean,
Skyballs.
For those of us who played in the 70s and the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
in memory of Coach Freddie Smith, the Friday Skyballs are always you can always catch those on Instagram too.
Yep, they're all over there. They're fun.
Yep. Hey, Pete, this was really an honor for me. And as I want to say to the fans and alums, we're going to try and do this going forward. These will be more of a weekly wrap up to the previous 1 or 2 games the week before. And we're glad that everybody could join us. And go Jays. Good luck Saturday against Denver. It is 12 noon on Homewood Field. And I do believe it's also airing on ESPN+. Pete, thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat. It was great.
Awesome.